What never fails to make you tear up or cry? I'm a member of a 12-step program, and in meetings we give out chips or keychains for different amounts of clean/sober time. After giving out multiple years, 1 year, 6 months, etc, the meeting chair will ask if there's anyone new or coming back relapsed and is returning to the program who wants to take a 24-hour chip. When anyone gets up and takes their 24H chip, the room invariably gives them the loudest applause and cheers and welcomes them back. The whole room knows how much courage it takes to come back and how scary it can be to get up and walk to the front of the room for that chip. It's such a beautiful thing to see, and it makes me cry every time. My wedding song. My husband died in an accident a little over 3 years ago, only 5 months after we got married. All I need to hear is the first note of the song and the grief hits hard. I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine your pain. One particular patient I had working in a trauma center. 19-year-old girl I'd never seen before and didn't know at all. She was ejected from a vehicle and then crushed because her boyfriend was trying to show off. I was training new staff and they were at the end of their training, so I was only in the room to provide supervision and step in if necessary, and I spent the entire trauma holding her hand on her request and trying to comfort her and keep her mind off of the injuries to both of her legs. Her last words were spoken directly to me. "This really hurts. Can I go to sleep?" I cried for days after. I've never had a patient's death hit me as hard before or after. Edit. All of your comments and kind words mean so much. You're all wonderful individuals and you deserve hugs. Fathers who tell their children how proud they are of them. I told my son this yesterday. He's just gone 4 and has always hated anyone touching his hair. Screaming like a banshee, etc. Yesterday I took him to my local barber and he was initially nervous. I could see him tensing his neck, but he settled down quickly and let the guy go to work. Clippers, scissors. He sat there for a good 20 minutes. At one point he exclaimed, "Daddy, I'm not scared anymore." I nearly melted with pride, so I bought him 3 massive toys afterwards. And he has, for the first time ever, a proper haircut. Watching Fox and the Hound, I was watching the part where she releases Todd with my 5-year-old daughter. Her with a catch on her voice asking why. Me explaining. Her in tears saying she'll take him, she'll take care of him. Now I cry. Every damn time. I used to watch this every day when I was like 3. But I would bawl for hours after. And then I'd put it on again the next day and repeat. My mom had to ban me from watching it because she didn't think that was healthy. I mean, the ending is happy. The scene in Saving Private Ryan, when the medic gets shot and dies on the field with the rest of his group desperately trying to save him. Ah man, that one really hurt. So much of that movie makes you feel the camaraderie only for them to get killed. Fantastic movie. The movie does such a great job at depicting how little time you have to digest anything happening right in front of you during war. Just adds another layer of sad. Thinking about how poorly I treated my dad when he was still alive. He was always trying to find things in common with me to connect with me. When I found out he liked something I also liked, I just changed my mind and found it uncool. I looked down on the TV shows he liked and didn't realize until later that he had an awesome taste for quality campy television like The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. and other classics from that era of 90s syndicated television. If I knew him now, he'd be my best friend. I did try to connect with him in the last few years of his life, but he had dementia by then and couldn't follow things I knew he would have found interesting before. His last words to me were "it hurts" while I held his hand during catheterization on his last trip to the hospital. I was too embarrassed from seeing his penis to offer any true comfort. My dad's last words to me were, "You should call more." For him to admit that he wanted that. My dad's last words to me were, "Good night. Look after your mom. killed himself the next evening. As the only son, those words haunted me for years. Can't help falling in love, Elvis. Was supposed to be the song my sister and her fiancé danced to at her wedding. Instead it was played walking into the church, at his funeral, after he took his own life. My Porcies was so strong that day, but that song still gets us both. Damn man, I'm sorry for your family's loss. That song is one that my wife and I had on our wedding playlist, and was one of the first Love songs I listened to with her. My dad is a huge Elvis fan, and Elvis might be one of the only artists that he and I both enjoy. Much love to you, your sister, and the rest of your family. Seeing other people crying in emotional pain makes me sob every time. Edit. Wow, thank you for the awards. Guess this hit a spot with a lot of people. I just started a new job. Tomorrow will be the beginning of my 4th week. Second week, my office mate got into an argument with her dad over her stepmom being a B*TCH about Easter and making her feel like an outsider in her own family. She started crying, and within minutes I was choking back my own tears. This is a woman I just met. This was at work. And here I am, sobbing at her pain. Didn't help that I could relate to her family issues. My husband says it shows I have a big heart, but I can't help feeling embarrassed and unprofessional. Empathy, man. I had to hold back tears during my last Zoom meeting when my boss was getting choked up, telling us that his friend died. The Zoom meeting ended, and I cried for a good 15 minutes after. Whenever my addict daughter gets arrested, 4 times in the last 2 weeks. Whenever I look at a picture of her. Whenever I remember a memory of her when she was little and she was still my angel. Whenever I try to think of something I could do to help her and realize that I've already done everything a parent can do and it hasn't helped. I cry when it gets cold out and wonder if she is stuck out the night somewhere, cold and lonely. I cry when I look at her 8-year-old daughter that my wife and I are raising. I cry a lot lately. Edit. Thank you for the platinum. That's the first. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I highly recommend the Al-Anon program. It was really life-changing for me. My parents chose drugs over me and my 3 siblings, and unfortunately my 2 brothers have now had children who are being raised by people who aren't their parents specifically for this very reason. From a girl in your granddaughter's position, I can tell you how relieved she is to not have to deal with her mother's problem, even if she doesn't show it. Please, if you haven't already, remember to tell her that none of this is her fault. This is something I wondered for years about my own situation. Bless you and your wife for giving your precious granddaughter a home and loving her through this. You are more than welcome to reach out to me if you'd like to talk. Edit. Thank you kindly for the award. Edit 2. Thank you all for the lovely awards, but this really doesn't deserve so much. If you're someone you know who has been affected by a friend or family member's drug and or alcohol abuse, please direct them to Al-Anon or Al-Anon. They even do online meetings now, so you don't even have to attend in person, but from personal experience, you will never meet people more supportive and understanding than your group members. That scene from The Fresh Prince when Will's dad bails on his trip. Why don't he want me, man? Every time. Oh. Good choice. One of the heaviest scenes in the entire series. The scene in My Girl, when she is at Macaulay Culkin's funeral. Backquote, he can't see without his glasses. I cried just reading this. I always cry from about halfway through the movie, because I know what's coming. This going to get buried, but I need to get it off my chest. It's my kids. When they were little, my mom had a brain aneurysm, my dad spiraled into a deep depression, and they lost their home and business. At the same time, my mother-in-law has a stroke and my in-laws' finances collapsed, and they were on the verge of losing their home too. So I worked crazy hard to be everyone's rock. I worked multiple jobs to help out my family. When I wasn't working, I was taking care of them emotionally and physically. I so drained that I didn't have much left to give to my kids. I missed soccer games and school plays, and trick-or-treating, and first words and countless other things. Thankfully, my wife was there for them. So they got to experience all the good things in childhood. I just wasn't there for it. Even when I was physically present, I was exhausted and cranky. Now they are teenagers and don't want to be around me. I just want to hold their hands, tell them that I love them, and do something fun with them, anything at all. I just want to be with them. But my chance to hold them, teach them new things and experience the amazing joys of childhood with them are long gone. It tears me up inside. I'm bawling on the couch right now typing this. Yes, all the work paid off. Amazingly, both my mom and mother-in-law are alive, with physical impairments. My parents lost their house and business, but they are in place that works for them. And my in-laws went through bankruptcy, but were able to keep their house. I'm glad it worked out. But God. It hurts thinking about what I missed. Goodbyes. Doesn't matter what kind. I'll always get teary-eyed. Once as a teen I had a dream about my dad. Next day he left for a long work trip and I meant to say goodbye to him before he left but didn't. And the entire time I thought, something's going to happen to him, something's going to happen to him. He made it back home fine, and I realized that something didn't happen this time, but it could happen the next or any other time. I'm not religious, but I think it was some sort of divine wake-up call, and I don't let people leave me without saying goodbye anymore. I realized this recently and now always say bye, I love you to family members. Especially yesterday cause it was my birthday. The end of Homeward Bound. Especially when Shadow says Peter, you're okay. Like, they went through all of that and almost died multiple times and Shadow was just glad to know Peter was okay. Gets me every time. I'm legitimately angry at you for bringing up Homeward Bound. The ducking audacity. Now I'm tearing up and my husband wants to know why. Dying pets. I work at a seafood counter and one day a regular customer looked bummed and I asked her if she was okay. She burst into tears and told me her dog had died. I felt so bad I started crying with her and told her I was so sorry. It's almost worse than losing a person because a dog's love is so pure. It was obviously the wrong thing to say because she started crying harder and said, I know right, which made me cry harder. Another customer walked up, saw we were both openly sobbing, and just slowly backed away. That's super sad and sweet, but I'm dying laughing at the thought of what that other customer must have thought as he walked away. Thinking about losing my dog someday. I know it'll happen eventually but I can't handle the thought of it. I feel this, although mine is a cat. He is getting old, 17 years, and he might cross the rainbow bridge soon as his health is declining. Duck it, I will run downstairs now to hug him. I feel this, my cat is 21, and I know this is her last year. The vet has talked about me doing experimental things for her kidneys, but I know I can't put her through it. But I know losing her will be a giant hole in my heart, so I'm dreading it. Thinking of that abandoned little kitten I found. I called him Mortimer. Tried to keep him alive. Bottle feeding him. Keeping him warm, skin to skin. Staying awake through most of the night. Calling in sick day after day to stay with kitty. Emergency vet scheduling with them saying he probably won't make it. Kitty didn't make it. It's when my oldest cat slowly stalked up to the cat, nudging her nose against Mortimer's head. Mortimer didn't move. Didn't react. I put him in a show box with his blanket, so he would not be cold. Buried him and left a little pebble for a tombstone. That was 20 years ago. I'm sorry, Mortimer. I couldn't save you. Edit. Wow. I had absolutely no idea that this would blow up in such a significant way. Thank you, everyone. I'm doing my best to reply to each and every individual that commented. There are so many heart-wrenching stories to read. I find solace in knowing that there are so many internet strangers who also do their best to help the most vulnerable creatures we stumble upon in our lives. Thank you all, once again. Be well, be safe. The end of Coco. IDC. How many times I watch it, it hits me every time. Wow, my most upvoted comments are about me crying like a little baby. Lol, at least I know I'm not alone. I made the mistake of watching Coco the week my grandma died. I was a mess at the end. My great grandma been dead for some years, and that movie opened up an old wound in my heart. Strategically placed albums from my youth. If I'm half drunk and someone begins to play the album Four Cornered Night by Jets to Brazil, I will become uncharacteristically nostalgic, and then openly sob at the idea of how good I was at being 18 years old, vs how shitty I'm at being 38 years old. Getting old is weird. Isn't it so funny that I feel the opposite? I was utterly shit at being 18 to 28. Once I hit my 30s I feel like I know who I am and what I want. I would have killed to have a tenth of the confidence, self-awareness, sense of purpose that I have now when I was younger. Then again, if the past were different, who knows how I'd be now. That's why they say, youth is wasted on the young. Zuko and Iroh's reunion in the finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was never angry. I was afraid because I thought you had lost your way. I did, uncle. I literally am physically incapable of reading this poem without shedding a tear. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I'm the diamond glints on snow. I'm the sunlight on ripened grain. I'm the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush. I'm the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I'm the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I'm not there. I did not die. Child abuse statements. I always feel so compelled to read them. All statements of abusive documentaries, or whatever. It makes me cry and suffer, but at the same time, I feel like I owe it to the people who were brave enough to open up like that. Like, I'm in some way telling them that I hear them, and believe them, love them and remember them. The first 10 minutes of Up. That was actually what I had on my mind when I posted this. I watched it with some friends while we drank last night and everyone else just was like damn sad, but I was close to crying. Mufas's death in The Lion King. Also that scene in Interstellar where he sees those videos of his kids. That gets me sobbing like nothing else. Sometimes you just need a good cry. Nothing makes a grown man cry like that scene in Interstellar.